Hello and welcome back to part 2 of our video tutorial at Monza with the BMW Z4 GT3. So I've gone and done an extra hot lap. It's a 1 minute 47.8, which is solid. Obviously there's room for improvement. I am using the setup that's included in the data pack posted on Virtual Racing School on the website there, so I'm going to just play through the lap at full speed, and then we'll do some analysis afterwards. Okay. I'm going to leave the overlay on top, just so it's easier to see my pedal inputs especially. Okay, there we are. I think I need to clean my pedals because I did notice some throttle spiking there, which obviously you don't want at a circuit like Monza with all the long straights. But yeah, so what we're going to do now is watch the lap back again, and I'm going to pause it after each corner and just summarise what's happened. So obviously I'm thinking about the braking point in my head at this point, just after the 150, about 130 metres I think. Yep, there we are. Okay, so I used quite a lot of curb through the first part of the chicane, which was nice. About the optimal amount, really. Looking at that, actually, I probably could have used a little bit more before getting a slowdown, but that's pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. I did notice on the second apex that I didn't actually quite make contact with this red sausage curb, or orange, whatever you want to call it, which meant that I lost a tiny bit, really, because I do find if you just clip it, it can help the car turn and you can get away with carrying a little bit more speed through there. Yeah, apart from that, it was nice. No dramas, getting back on the power. Oh, one thing I do want to show you is my braking trace. So I'm going to play it in slow motion here. So I'm braking from 150, hard on the brakes initially, because you've got a little bit of downforce helping, and then gradually I'm bleeding it off as the speed scrubs and not scrubs but dissipates, and the brake pressure is decreasing in line with the slight loss of downforce as the speed slows. Now the brake pressure is going to obviously decrease while I'm turning in, but I do like to trail brake. You probably noticed that on a lot of corners. I like to trail brake with about 5% braking, because that seems to be optimal to get the car turned in where I need it to be. So gently back on the power at this point, straightening the wheel. As you straighten the wheel, you can get hard onto the power, which I've done so. Slight correction for oversteer, but nothing too dramatic. Okay, so hugging the inside, steering inputs to a minimum here. Braking just before the bridge. Lots of curb on the inside there. Using all the sausage curb on the exit. Or the second apex, I should say. Oh my god, I've gone back too much. Okay, so again, you watch my braking trace. Hard on the brakes initially, and then start to bleed off. But there's no sudden change in brake pressure. It's very, very gradual. So more speed's coming off. I'm starting to turn in now, and simultaneously I'm coming right off the brake pedal. I'm also kind of teasing the throttle. That's just to get the balance of the car exactly where I want it. So we've used quite a good amount of curb here. 2 wheels still on the track, just about. So this is probably quite close to where you would actually receive a penalty, a slowdown penalty. And then, so for the second part, the second apex, as I said earlier in part 1, I'm getting back on the power and then off the power as I hit the second curb. So back on the power now, approaching the second curb, off the power completely, and then as the car lands, back on the power, full power. And fortunately the car landed quite nicely, so even though I've ended up very, very close to the grass, using all the curb on the exit, the car is nicely planted and I'm able to hold it at full power. So excuse me, coming into the first Lesmo now. So we're not braking at 100% this time, because we're not entering from such a high speed where we got all that downforce, and also it's a corner where you want to kind of roll the car in. You don't want to shave off too much speed, so that's why I'm not braking as hard as I would as into turn 1, say. So let's just watch that at full speed. So you'll notice once my initial braking is out of the way and I come off the brakes, now I've got a tiny little bit of maintenance throttle, just because that kind of gives me a bit more confidence to turn in, knowing that the car isn't going to oversteer too much. But then what I'm doing now is a little bit of trail braking, because I'm detecting a little bit of understeer, and then once that's resolved, I'm back on the power, almost full power, but not quite. Only now am I full power. And then steering is almost fully straight whilst I'm out wide onto this AstroTurf. Quickly approaching the second Lesmo, braking, just before the 50, probably about 70 metres, 65 metres. Again, not braking too hard, let's play it at full speed. So you'll notice with all my braking application, it's always very, very hard on the brakes initially. Not necessarily 100% pressure, but just a fast application initially and then bleeding off. So you'll see that again now. Hard onto the brakes, but probably only about 70% of pressure, because I don't want to overuse the ABS. Trail braking up until the apex. As soon as I've hit the apex, I'm hard on the power, about 70-80%, and then as I get to a point where I can straighten the car out, I'm full power. And I've actually gone quite wide at this point. This is probably about as wide as you can possibly go. I'm definitely 2 wheels into the gravel here. Yep, 2 wheels into the gravel, but this is about as wide as you can possibly get away with without actually losing time. So that was pretty good actually. But you don't want to risk running this wide every lap, because it will catch you out at some point. You see, I'm actually counter steering just a tiny bit here, so I'm obviously anticipating that I'm going to get a bit of X oversteer because I'm pushing the limit so hard on the exit here. But fortunately, no traction loss, which is good. So approaching Ascari now, braking just after the gantry, trying to be economical with my inputs, as I've said in part 1. Nice amount of exit speed there. Nice and tidy exit, which is what you want. Okay, so let's just go through that again. So, braking about 120. I think I was actually... So initially, I maxed out the brakes, but I came off almost immediately, and then I've started bleeding down. I'm turning in now, so I'm reducing brake pressure. A tiny bit of maintenance throttle, just to bring me to that first apex. So, we look to be very, very close to that first curb, which that yellow and black curb, which is pretty much bang on. That's where you want to be. So I'm turning in quite hard at the moment, getting back on the power again, but not full power. You don't want to abuse the car's inputs through this corner. You want to just kind of tease it through here whilst maintaining your speed. So I've actually come off. That was interesting. So I've come off the power completely here, on the power, and then off the power completely, just because I feel like I've got a little bit too much mid-corner speed. And the car tends to turn better when you're on power. So I want to take that speed off as quickly as possible, so I've come off the throttle entirely, and then I'm back on the power as much as I can to get the car to keep to the inside. Again, it's all about trying to get this exit here, so you want to be hugging this curb all the way down. Full power now. Do I keep it at full throttle? I should be able to. Yes, I do. So that's important. If you're having to lift at this point, any time from here on out, then it's going to be costing you time all the way down this next straight. So that was good. So again, my steering inputs are very minimal here, because you're traveling so fast, and you don't want to upset the car too much, and get a big slide on for the exit. Okay, so into the final corner here. Okay, so that seems fairly straightforward. It's just about being patient, really, in reality. So again, braking about 80 or 90 meters, I believe. I use the middle of this green concrete, as I've said before, as my reference. Braking trace is going to be not quite fully on the brakes there. And that's probably because it's such a short braking zone. that it feels like I'm probably just going to abuse the ABS too much if I stamp on it too hard, because it's very important to be smooth through this corner. So yeah, just bleeding off the brake pedal ever so slightly, and then now I'm turning in, I'm coming off the brakes entirely. Just before I've hit the apex there, you'll notice how I was switching between a slight amount of trail braking and a slight amount of maintenance throttle, and that's just so I can get it to be comfortable to the apex. And that's just a matter of feel and practice. You'll start to subconsciously play about with the with the pedals in this manner, where you're just gently teasing each one, just to get the car where you want it to be. So there's my apex. Now I'm actually sliding a tiny bit wide, but that's okay because I've got this room on the exit. Now I tend to, when I apply the throttle, I tend to get to about 80% for my initial application, and then when I feel like the car isn't going to run out wide on the exit after I've gone to full throttle, that's when I feel comfortable to apply full throttle. So that's what you want to do. Ideally you don't want to be applying full throttle and then having to come out of the throttle, especially when there's such a long this leads out onto the start-finish straight. So you want to be confident to be able to get fully on the power, and then be confident to hold it fully on the power all the way down this straight. And there it is. That's a 147.8. Thanks for watching. I recommend that you go back to the start of this video and watch the lap at full speed again, having listened to my thoughts and analysis. Okay, thanks for watching.